Hi, Bruce Johnson here, and I'd like to talk to you today about the quickest, easiest, and fastest way I know of to raise morale in any business or organization. Now, my work with owners and CEOs of companies over the last several years, two things on this subject have become very, very clear. The first is that very few senior executives pay a whole lot of attention to morale, and the second is that very few of them understand how important the role is that they play in morale. In fact, they almost all underestimate it. And both of those things are really bad for a number of reasons. First of all, your people can be doing the same kind of work, but morale is up, their productivity is up, their performance is up, profitability is up. They can be doing the same tasks, but when morale is down, they just don't get the same results. Morale is a huge differentiator in performance, productivity, and profitability. And secondly, the single greatest influence on morale in an organization is the senior executive. In fact, let me share with you how I learned this very personally and passionately and powerfully back in the 90s. Back in the 90s, I used to be the pastor of a church. We started with two families and grew to about 2,000 people. During the decade of the 90s, though, we were growing at an average of 30.5% per year. So we kind of anticipated we'd grow. And the best growth cycle was usually in the spring, which makes sense around Easter. Well, one year, probably 94, 95, we got to the spring and flatlined. This didn't make sense. I mean, there should be a growth cycle, and it wasn't. So as a growth-oriented leader, I was trying to figure out what's going on. Is there something that I should know that I didn't know about? And so I started asking questions. I started looking around. I started looking at our topic selection, our services, our relevancy. I looked at our marketing campaign, trying to see is there something going on in the church that I'm unaware of. Couldn't find anything. So I go into our staff meeting. And I started asking them, is there something going on that I'm unaware of? Is there something that I should know? No. I asked a series of questions. No. And finally I said, well, there's got to be something going on. In that moment, one of my staff members took a risk, and it was a good risk. And I'll never forget what he said. He said this. He says, Bruce, I think the problem might be you. I said, well, explain. What do you mean by that? He said, well, the last month or so, you've been kind of down and kind of depressed. And he says, I think now watch these words because these are key words. They're life-changing words. He says, I think you underestimate how much the rest of us draft our energy from you. And he was right. And that was the day I learned the principle of what I call leader draft. Leader draft. Your people, just like my people, they draft their energy from you. And when you, the leader, are on, they draft that energy. When you're down, they draft a lot less energy. You really are the key person when it comes to morale in your company, just like I was in my former church. You are the key. It's the principle of leader draft. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, does that mean I have to be on all the time? Well, no. If you're okay with flatlining, plateauing, and declining, I mean, you can be anything. But if you want to have a growing organization, the answer is yes, you have to be on when you're with your people. What I tell my clients all the time is this. I said, when you arrive at work, assuming that you have a physical place that you go to, it's not a virtual company. When you arrive at that place and you get out of your car, whatever is bugging you, you got to leave it in the car. Just leave it in the car, because when you step out of that car and you're with your people, you have to be up. It's not like they're intentionally going through and saying, hey, is he or she up or down? No, they're just observing all the behaviors. They're watching how you walk. They're watching how you talk and interact with people. They're watching in staff meeting, how engaged are you? They're listening to your tonality. Is it kind of like, yeah, things are tough, or is it kind of like, hey, these are the best days, this is exciting, other people are down, but not us. When they feel that energy, they draft off that. And when they feel a lack of energy, they draft off of that as well. And there's just not a whole lot. So when you arrive at work or when you're with your people, do you have to be on? Yes, because the single quickest, fastest way you can raise morale in any organization is by you raising your morale. It's the principle about leader draft. It is one of the costs of leadership, by the way, that when you and I are with our people, we can't always be down. And so hopefully you do have a friend, a counselor, a coach, a consultant, a spouse, or somebody that you can be real with outside of that. But when you're with your people, be fully on. And if you are, I think you're going to find, like I did, that morale changes and you can be doing the same things, and guess what? You'll get better results. It's the principle of leader draft. So hopefully that helps to your accelerated success. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.